and this is how you can snowball. This is the most important part about snowballing in matches. It's no depth, and this is the value of getting a snowballing lead. I actually don't think I've died once. Between this 3-minute to 2-minute mark, it's super important. If you're not going to score, then don't let the enemy team score, especially if you've gotten the lead. If your team can hold in that bottom lane and you can win a 1v1, and then yeah, we're able to pretty much kill him there. Now at this point, we know that their team has just died and there's 3 of our teammates ripping this objective. There is no need for you to continue to rip this objective. What you should be doing is you should be continuing to suffocate the experience that the enemy has. I'm going to sit in this bush. I know that the enemy Dragapult is spawning very shortly, and then there's the Dragapult. We land the power up punch there, get the close combat, and we're going to talk over how to snowball the game as a top laner. The prerequisite of snowballing is getting ahead. So the first minute of the game really matters. Be aware of what's going on. I want to get my stacks here because I know as a Lucario, you're very, very strong if you can get 2 or 3 stacks early in the game. So that's what I'm focusing here, and I can see that the enemy Clefairy and the enemy Bulbasaur are going after our Charizard, and he's playing defensively on pad, just trying to secure a bit of farm here. Now, in order to snowball the game, you need to get ahead. So have a look at what's happening here. I can see that there's a Bulbasaur who's very deep. We've got a Charizard on our pad and the Clefable's on about half health. So I could take this piece of farm here, but it probably makes more sense for me to go and attack them, shove them back with Meteor Mash, forcing them to run away through this way. That way we can get both of these bits of farm for free, and then we can be ahead in lane, right? So this is what I'm trying to do here. I don't care about this bit of farm here. What I'm doing is I'm looking at their team. I use my Meteor Mash to try and get that secure on the piece of farm there. With the quick attack, that's what we do. We kill one here, and now I can see that this Clefairy is in trouble at XP to get past him, shove him back with that Meteor Mash, and we're going to be able to get the kill because I've actually just learnt Power Up Punch. How convenient. For stack number 4 there, stack number 5 here, and should I go for stack number 6? No, I want to get ahead. So these bees are going to be spawning in 1 second, and I know I'm going to get my 6th stack fairly easily after I can get a kill or after I can force the enemy that far back with a jungle gank. So I'm not concerned about getting this last stack, all right? And I'm very, very aware of this. So this is what we do. Here are these bees. We shove them back with that Meteor Mash, and then we can secure that big one with the Power Up Punch. And now my team is very ahead in the top lane. Look, we've got level 5 and level 5 3/4 versus level 4.5 and level 3. There's a couple of decisions I can make here. I can look to invade. That's one thing I could do. However, I'm aware that they're not necessarily doing all too well in the bottom lane because I have hand down. So that's one thing I could do. The next thing I can do is just stay in the top lane. I've got Power Up Punch and take every single bit of farm on this rotation. So, and I know that I hit this piece of farm and then that piece of farm, and then there was this bottom one, then this middle one, and the top one there. So I'm aware of the rotations, and they're probably going to be spawning fairly shortly, maybe in about 5 to 10 seconds. So in this particular game, I actually decide to stay up and just keep a lot of pressure on their team, right? We're forcing them back, and what we're looking to do is just take the farm off of them, right? We're forcing them away from this area here, and then now that they're kind of overcommitting, I decide to not engage. I keep the Power Punch on cooldown. Unfortunately, I don't actually get it off quick enough, so that's probably a bit of poor play on my end here. And our Charizard's cleaning up that piece of farm. That's fine. I'm looking for their farm here, and they've taken that back Baltoy, but we can go and get that with that Power Up Punch, and then I shove them away because it's very important when you are in the lead. You want to maintain this lead by not dying. So this is where you can use your battle item. I like X speed on Power Up Punch Lucario, not extreme speed Power Up Punch in particular, because you've got a lot of mobility in that top lane. So that means our team should have the numbers advantage when we go to the middle here. Unfortunately, our bottom laners didn't come to the middle farm, but we did get some of it there. We didn't want to give up all that contested experience and give it back to the enemy. So it's looking a little shaky here after what was a pretty decent start. 14 score because it's free and it gives us level 7 here, and we can get close combat. So I'm kind of just sitting around waiting for the next piece of farm to spawn, because I know I'm probably going to be able to clean that up fairly easily, right? Now, if we have a look at what's going on here, I know that my team's rotated to the bottom lane, and I know that their Venusaur is in the top lane. I have no vision on anybody else in the game except for, I believe there's one enemy down here. Yes, the enemy Sylveon. So our team has got control of this bottom lane. I feel that with the amount of farm in this top lane, it's very unnecessary, and this is how you can snowball. If your team can hold in that bottom lane and you can win a 1v1 in this top lane, which is exactly what we're doing here. I'm versing a level 5 Ivysaur. There's no way I should lose this. So I engage on him, and then yeah, we're able to pretty much kill him there. I decide not to score because there's a lot of experience here that I can get, and I can put a big overcap into the goal. So I decide to stay in the top lane here. And then at this point, right, there's piece of farm number 1, 2, 3, and 4. So always take the contested bits of farm first, right? I can see that there's a bit of farm here. Close combat will clean that up. And then there's the next contested piece of farm. Currently in the bottom lane, I can see that our team's doing fairly well. They've got good control, and our other bottom laner has rotated. Think about what could have happened. If I rotated down and let this Ivysaur stay in the top lane, he could potentially be level 8. And that could be very scary. But at the moment, he's still level 6, and now I'm approaching level 9 there, right? I actually am level 9. So now I'm fairly well fed, and our team's been successful. They haven't overpushed it. And we've got a Gardevoir, we've got a Charizard, we've got a Glaceon, right? And then we've got a Sableye providing good vision. So they've done really well on their bottom lane. And then I can see now I've got 40 points, and now we overcap at this point here, right? We've taken the farm, and yeah, we decide to overcap, and I can see there's a lot of the enemy team in that bottom lane, and I knew the Clefable was rotating down because I saw him run. So I take this as an opportunity to rip this objective and then to maintain pressure on the enemy, right? We can use this Regieleki as vision, and then we can continue to take their farm. Now, because it's still the 6-minute mark, the enemy don't have a jump pad, and what I can do here is I've got my Unite move, I've got a lot of mobility, I've got my X speed. I can put a lot of pressure on the enemy in this top lane here, and meanwhile I can see that our bottom lane's actually putting a lot of pressure on the enemy bottom lane. So there's a bit of a trade-off for the orange team here. They have to decide whether or not they're going to defend this Reggie, because I could probably take on a bit of a 2v1 here, the Dragapult and the Venusaur. So they're going to have to base. Okay, I use this as pressure. I can see a red buff there. I just take that, and then now I can see that this Reggie is walking towards them. I try and launch off some big damage onto that Venusaur. I get the kill on him, and then I can see that their team is actually rotating up. I saw 2 of them, so I just run away, right? There's always going to be a bit of farm that you can take when you run away. There's no point dying here, right? This is the most important part about snowballing in matches. It's no deaths. You've gotten ahead. You want to maintain that experience lead. So we go back, and then now this Reggie is providing vision on 3 of the enemy. So our team is ideally looking to, and you can see our Sableye is looking to get a bit of 30 score in here. Take any of their farm, take all of this contested farm. That way when these guys are done killing this Regieleki, they have nothing to farm. They've got no catch up that they can take there. So that's exactly what we do. We take these contested Bs up in the top lane, and that's why you don't break before 7 minutes, because you want this 7 minutes 20, because you want that next Bs to be closer to your goal zone, right? So now I'm kind of just sitting waiting in the bush to see if their team is going to push into our top lane. I can see that they've rotated bottom, and I take that opportunity to score 40 points just while the enemy team does not have a jump pad, right? That was only because I had vision on the enemy team in the bottom lane. So now I'm just floating around, I'm looking for vision, and I can see that there's a lot of this enemy team. I can see 4 people on my minimap pushing the bottom lane. So, and I can see that my team's not there. So this is very dangerous for the enemy team, because now I can come and sweep them from side on or from the back. And our Gardevoir actually has his Unite move, and yeah, I'm approaching level 12. So these guys are in a lot of trouble here. I believe I just pinged what my Unite move was at. And yeah, we see this Dragapult here. He gets killed, our Gardevoir unites, and we pretty much just get a team wipe on them. So now at this point, we know that their team has just died, and there's 3 of our teammates ripping this objective. There is no need for you to continue to rip this objective. What you should be doing is you should be continuing to suffocate the experience that the enemy has. So you can see that's exactly what I do. I run into their jungle. They've got a blue buff. I'll go and take that. Now, what I could be doing here is taking some of this bottom farm, but I know my team's probably looking to pressure that. I'm going to sit in this bush, and this is because I know that the enemy Dragapult is spawning very shortly, and I can come out of this bush with a power up punch and a close combat, and he's pretty much going to be dead if I do that. So that's exactly what I'm doing. I'm just sitting in here. I know the Crustal's there because I saw the Rock Tomb, and then there's the Dragapult. We land the power up punch there, get the close combat, and yeah, hit the next power up punch. I can see still doesn't die for whatever reason. So I launch my Unite move off, and then yeah, I see that there's 2 of the enemy team pushing the score top, and I've just killed the Dragapult, and I can see that the Clefairy has a death timer. So with our team pushing the bottom pad, it makes sense for me to put in this 30 score, 40 score, just to counterbalance the amount of score that the enemy are putting in. So now at this point, it probably makes sense for me to take the contested Bs and then push the enemy team here, because they've just emptied their points into our goal zone and they haven't broken yet. And I know that their team is not going to be pushing our tier 1 in the top lane. And there's an objective here spawning in like 6 seconds. So if they start tapping that, I'm actually going to be able to make it up there in time to steal it. So that's exactly what I do. I take all the contested farm. I'm going to get quite a lot of HP back off that close combat. And yeah, we're level 13.5 as the top laner at 4 minutes. Now, it's very important here. We can't die. Yeah, that's the number one thing. We cannot die at this point. So what do? I make a good engage there. I can see that their Dragapult is in the top. So we take care of the Venusaur, and then we just disengage, right? We disengage. We wait for our team to come in there, and yeah, we're able to get the secure when it gets low enough, put ourselves in a position to secure, and then we just continue to pressure. You can see that's what I'm doing. I'm looking for any Indeedis, I'm looking for any Bow Toys. As soon as I get into that tricky situation there, that's why I've got the power punch, because I'm unstoppable, and I just dash over the wall that the Crustal makes, right? Now at this point, I'm about half health. My ability has just popped, and I think it's a little bit silly to try and re-engage on half health here. And I know that I've just taken this farm, and it's probably a little bit too risky to go into their farm here at 3 minutes 30 by myself, because if there's a time for the enemy team to unite, it would be now. So I'm aware of that. I go in base and just look to rotate to try and defend some goal zones. So I look to go top. I can see that their team is not in the top lane. So I realize that nobody's in the bottom lane, and I don't want their team catching up on score, right? Between this 3 minute to 2 minute mark, it's super important. If you're not going to score, then don't let the enemy team score, especially if you've gotten the lead. You want to go into Rayquaza with the biggest score lead possible. So if you've got your Unite move and you've got your levels, you don't need to get anything for a power spike, then it's just silly to leave your goal zones undefended, in my opinion. So you'll see here, I actually ping my team to defend the top goal zone, and I could be taking this Baltoy, but the trade-off is that while I'm taking that Baltoy, they could dump in like 30 points if 2 of them go in at once. So that's a little bit silly. So what I'm looking to do is just trying to scout them. I can see that there is some of this farm here, and yeah, the Dragapult unfortunately does get caught out by me. So yeah, I go and take that off him, right? And then I look to rotate through their mid. No farm in there. I realize they've just taken it, so I just take any contested farm. My team's rotated to the bottom, so then I rotate through to the top lane. Do I look to engage? No, I'm holding that power up punch so I stay unstoppable, and I only engage if I know I'm going to be successful in my kill, which is what I do on the Venusaur. I re-engage and then I power up punch away, because there's no point taking a silly fight here. I base and then I rotate through to the bottom lane, because I can see we've just killed one in the top, and I can see there's 2 or 3 in the bottom lane. So we rotate bottom to make sure that they don't score before the Rayquaza. We make sure that we are maintaining our lead. Now we can see that their Crustal actually burns his eject button, which is very, very useful for our team, because eject button on a Crustal is a little bit scary at the Rayquaza. So now we're getting, you know, it's time to position here. I actually don't realize that their Sylveon gets vision on me going into this bush, but you can see their team is actually hesitating, you know, to try and engage on me here. I realize that their Sylveon's actually going for a back cap, and our team has an experience lead. So I don't care about him. He can score that 100 points. I know our team is so far ahead that this 100 points doesn't actually put their team in the lead. So as soon as I see that, I look to try and make as smart of an engage as possible. I can see that their Clefairy and Crustal are actually backing out here to support the Venusaur with the back sweep. So I decide not to engage when they're going back through there. I'm trying to catch off them when they're by themselves. That's when I pan over, I get some vision, I engage with the power punch in the close combat, and then we kill a couple there. I power punch into the gravity zone. I'm getting a little bit caught there, turn around, and that's 4 successful kills from our team leaving the back capper by themselves, who are in a 5v1 situation. Now, if you at this point you're thinking the game's over, right? It's completely over. Well, unfortunately this is Pokemon Unite and it doesn't happen as simply as that. So he uses his Unite move, he gets away, he kills one of our teammates, and no one on our team decides to rip the objective. All three of them decide to chase the Sylveon. So the Sylveon has made a play that has actually kept his team in the game, because if our team just ripped here, I've got my Unite move, this is done in like potentially 8 seconds, their team's not going to be able to get into the middle area in time and the game's over. Rayquaza's off the map. But unfortunately, our team doesn't have that same level of awareness, so what do I look to do? I look to sit in this bush. This is the punishing bush, right? Because you can get the enemy team when they dive over the jump pad. Our team is pushing the enemy tier 2, and I see there's a Clefable. I don't really want to engage on a Clefable, and there's a Crustle. I don't want to engage on him, but I see the Clefable gets low, so I can look to engage on that Clefable. I X-speed after him. I don't actually realize that he X-speeds, which is kind of annoying because I'm just playing a bit of a duck-duck-goose here, but I've still got my Unite move. I try and look to engage to pick up this Clefable. I miss him there, and then I pop my Unite move after doing a close combat, and yeah, we pick up 1 kill there. And yeah, we managed to get out successfully, which is very good for our team. But we've still got 40 seconds left in the game and we're ahead. And this is the value of getting a snowballing lead. And you can notice in this game, I actually don't think I've died once, right? It's super important in your games of especially playing a MOBA. Just don't die, right? Just don't die. So now at this point, their team's looking to rip. There's only 30 seconds left. And our Sableye's putting in like 40 points. Even if they score, even if they win Rayquaza, they're not going to be able to win the game. It's over at this point. We've scored too much, we've steamrolled too hard, and even then, all I'm looking to do is I'm looking to go into the middle. If I can't get the secure, which I don't get, I just look to try and break shield. We broke 1 shield there. Frostil still got a shield, and Venusaur's shield is about to break. They're behind by like 300 points. There's really not much they can do, right? All we have to do is try and defend against these guys successfully here. So the Crustle gets a good score in. The Sylveon's also got 100 points, but it's just not going to be enough. Because, you know, the Gardevoir's there defending, uses the Unite move. Future Sight is great at defending there. And yeah, they put all the money they could possibly put in there and they still don't win the game. And as you can see, the damage numbers are okay. You know, we probably could have dealt a bit more damage. But what's important is making those smart engages and steamrolling the game by making informed decisions and do not die.